good trainer.
Who?
That was just one of that.
Genevieve or something.
All right.
Good trainer.
Good evening, everybody. We'd like to welcome everybody to the Holbrook Regular City Council meeting on July 23rd, 2025 at 6 p.m. Roll call, everybody is in attendance except for Councilwoman Pack, who is excused. We'd like to go ahead and start the evening with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilwoman Tafoya, followed by an invocation by Geraldine Begay. We appreciate, Geraldine, you being here. And I assume you're with the Faith Assembly as well?
Yes.
Awesome, thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you'd just come to the podium there with the mic. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Heavenly Father, we thank you. We thank you tonight for those who are in attendance for this meeting. We ask, Father, that you would give our mayor, the vice mayor, and those who are council members the wisdom that they need to make decisions on behalf of those who reside in Holbrook. Lord, I ask that you, Lord God, you continue to give them that wisdom they need to make those decisions, and bless them. In your name we pray, Father. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much for being here tonight. Come back anytime.
I saw your agenda.
But you're like,
I will sneak
we
out.
will receive sneak out. All right, thank
guys.
you. Night. All right, we'll move on to item number 4, consent agenda.
Wasn't worth it, I need to tell you.
So for the July 9th, 2025 regular meeting minutes and also the July 9th, 2025 work session minutes. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to look them over. Does anybody have any questions, concerns? Hearing none, we'll open the floor for a motion.
I make a motion to approve the July 9th, 2025 regular meeting minutes and July 9th, 2025 work session minutes.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Second, all right. Anybody think of any questions or concerns? Okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 5, call to the public for non-agenda items.
There are none.
Item number 6, call to the public for agenda items.
There also are none.
Thank you. Item number 7, old business. The first one will be ordinance 25-06, a second reading. This is amending the Code of Holbrook, Arizona, Chapter 2, Business and Tax Regulations by adding a new article, 2-5, Business License Required, Application Fees. So I'll go ahead and read. We discussed it a little bit last week, but I'll go ahead and read the background discussion just for a review for the public. The City of Holbrook currently lacks a standardized process for licensing businesses operating within city limits. Establishing a business license requirement will help the city track active businesses, improve communication, support economic development efforts, and ensure compliance with zoning and safety regulations. This ordinance proposes the addition of Article 2-5, Business License Required, Application, Fees to Chapter 2 of the Holbrook City Code. The new article outlines the requirement for businesses to obtain a license prior to operating in Holbrook, provides application procedures, and establishes applicable fees. The proposed ordinances aims to promote public health and safety by ensuring businesses operate in compliance with local regulations. It also provides the city with valuable data to better support local economic development and enforce city codes. The ordinances also include provisions for penalties, severability, and an effective date. Do we have any discussion on this?
Did we decide on a cost?
No, the fee will be discussed at the next meeting. Next week is when our special meeting is on July 30th, and this fee will be part of that. So we'll approve a fee then, but good question.
Okay.
And there's still one more reading after the reading.
This is the second reading, so there will be no reason to do a fee if we don't pass tonight, so. So this is our second reading.
There's no way I could vote to pass this without knowing what the fee was.
Well, we can discuss that and then.
Let's
we can
talk
discuss
about
the fee,
at least
yeah.
the parameters. I mean, I think this is a good thing if the fee is $10 or $20. I think this is, if it were $1,000, I would absolutely be against it, right? So I think a fee is something that we should at least establish a range.
And there was a.
Do you mind if I?
Go ahead, yes,
When
please.
you guys were doing the work sessions for the fees, you know, all the different work sessions we did. That was included in one of them, and the proposed fee was $35 annually.
Okay.
But we will be voting, if, you know, if we need to, we'll be voting on that at the next meeting, if that's appropriate, or if you guys wanted to change that amount, but that's the fee that was proposed.
I know Councilwoman Pack even suggested maybe every other year, right, that business fee.
So what if there's a business that doesn't pay that fee to get that business license? What happens then?
That's a great question. So,
That would be under
let's
the,
see, it's, yeah, let's find it here. It says a violation of any provision of this article shall constitute a class 3 misdemeanor and shall be punishable in accordance with applicable state law. It's section 4, sorry, providing for penalties. So, each day that a business is conducted in violation of section 2-5-2, including but not limited to failure to register with the city or failure to comply with any other requirements of this article shall constitute a separate and distinct offense. So, it would be a class 3 misdemeanor.
So how would you know if a business didn't come in and get one? Who's gonna
Well, that's gonna be the tricky
go out
part
there
to
and
start, yeah.
figure that out?
So, Barbara Blythe and Richard, as they're going about doing code enforcement, things like that, that's how they'll start. We're hoping to just do an advertisement, get people to come in, probably give a grace period, we talked about a grace period to start with.
And what if it's someone who has a business out of their home or something like they,
That's a
Yep.
252.
Yes, thank
is
you.
that gonna be, they have to leave?
So it
Where's that?
depends on what it was, so if you look at the actual code 2-5-2, it tells you who is required to have a license. And then it had the exemptions, like under C, like dependent minors or hobbyists. So it depends on if it's kind of more of a hobby kind of a business. They also had, if you look through number 2, government entities, 3 said licensed insurance agents, 4 licensed real estate professionals, if they're not located within the city.
So there's loopholes throughout it all. If someone says, oh, it's a hobby that I sell whatever out of my house.
Correct, so. And there's a good chance we're gonna have to come back and amend it when we find out what some of those loopholes are. And so, but this is a good start. I know, Barbara did a lot of research on other cities' codes that were similar to this for their business license. So a lot of this were, just best practices from other entities. But that doesn't mean something's not gonna pop up that we didn't think about, so.
So the purpose of this is to make sure that people are up to standards in their business, that they're complying with everything, right? And so for the $35, we're gonna come in and say, oh, we need to make sure this is good or this is good.
And then you have an accountability and also who the owner is, what the business is, who to contact if something happened, you know, all that type of thing. Whereas now, we don't, I guess, have all
But if
that
there's nobody
information.
enforcing it, are we gonna go fight for $35 for someone to say that's my hobby and find a loophole, and then we have a code in there that can't even be enforced?
Well, you would think that most people that are gonna open a business or have a business would be willing to do that. But you are gonna have those that aren't, but that's how it is with everything. So, I mean, I don't know.
And some of those might be a case by case. If it's a hobbyist, great, and you're taking your product out, but if you're having people stop by your home and purchase things, that's when it changes, right? But if I'm buying, making something maybe and then selling it at a fair, things like that, for me, I consider that more of like a
So
hobbyist.
So it's not a business if that's what you do, like if you sell jewelry at a fair, at every fair.
I guess
all
it
over.
depends on the business plan. If that's what they're doing full time, then that's a business, so.
It says right here, individuals under the age of 19 and persons engaged in a hobby or activity who make only occasional sales of their finished products or services, provided that the activity is not a primary source of income. So I guess if was their primary source of income, selling stuff out of their home or whatever, then
They need a business
they
license.
need a business license. But if they're just gonna occasionally
So
sell at the
who's gonna
fair.
be the one to determine whether
Exactly.
that's their
That would be our
income or
code
not?
enforcement.
Be just a judgment call on our code enforcement.
And I'm sure there's gonna be the same thing here as we have on any other code. There's an appeal process for everybody too. And so,
Also, Councilwoman Wood, she has a business, is it fair that she pay the same amount as Tractor Supply or Safeway for their business license? They might do 1,000 times the revenue that you're, or 100 times, I'm just saying X times. Is it fair that all the business licenses be the same?
But
I think so.
you're at the
but-
same as like, is it gonna be the same as, you know, Macy's shop having a business license and somebody who does it out of their house in their front yard, and that's a source of income for them to rebuild engines? Are they gonna have to pay the same? Are they gonna have to pay too, or is that considered a hobby, but yet they're making income, but so is the business on?
Well, and they'll claim that that's not their primary source of income, they're doing it out of their house, so there's a lot of,
There's,
So many people
A
are doing
lot.
that because of our
Um,
economy, it's just, you know, they need that extra $200, you know, to make
Right.
or rent or whatever.
If it's just that extra income, then they're fine.
And then how are we going to enforce that? And if it's gonna be a class 3 misdemeanor, is that gonna be something that the city attorney's gonna have to
So
enforce or go through?
good question.
it is a good question.
So it's not really a source of revenue, it's just, it pays for the inspections, right, at
But
$35?
we already have that
Pretty much.
though, that's, you know, I mean, we already can go in and
Well-
inspect people.
My question is, who's, Barbara and the other guy's gonna do the inspections? Well, there's so many different businesses, do you mean they are knowledgeable in everything that's going on in all these businesses where they can walk in and say, oh, that's okay, oh, no, that's not okay?
Well, it's zoned, I mean, it's not a subject, you know, or it's not a, are you zoned to actually have that product? I mean, that, we have all sorts of zoning laws and rules already saying what you can sell in this neighborhood and what you can and can't do. And that's all in our zoning codes, and so they're the two that know our zoning the best. He's our planning director, or not director, but he's our planning and zoning guy, and Barbara's our code enforcement. So that's what they do, that's their area of expertise, is our zoning.
Okay, so say I am a massage therapist and
Really?
I'm saying say,
Oh,
if I
He
was.
wants to be a.
No. If I was and I had extra room in my house, and that would be my side business, and I mean, I'm licensed, I can do it, I just do it out of my house, and it is a source of income, is that considered a business?
As
And
long as it's not
how's-
your main income. Do you have a second job, or is that your main job?
No, say it was my second job, like I do it on the
Then
side.
you're fine, then it's a hobby.
So that's not a business then?
Correct.
I don't think we're gonna get anything out of that then, cause everything
So
Winslow,
more
Scott,
than any,
Holbrook is
and I don't think we're trying to pick apart those home businesses as much as we're trying to, like we said,
just a storefront.
you know, our Main Street thing, so we're like, when they have the weeds out in front of that new business, how do we contact? So more than anything, it's gonna be a good business directory, like we said, just having that contact information. So we're not gonna be going after home businesses.
Yeah, so then in other
This
words,
is strictly,
you can drive down the street and know that business and who owns that business. It's for the businesses that, they're not even businesses though. Like, the empty buildings, there's not a business because there's nothing running out of there, and if their weeds are overgrown, it's like a big dollar store. Is it, who are you gonna ask, dollar store, Dollar General, like, hey, your weeds are overgrown, we didn't know who to get in contact, but we already know who to get in contact.
but we don't always, and that's the thing, and so.
That was the problem at the dollar store before. They would go in and tell them they need to pull their weeds. Yeah, we'll get in touch with the supervisor, or the owner, or whoever, and they
corporate.
never did and never did. And so, to have that information on file, then
It would be
They
really
wouldn't have
nice,
to
it
go
would be
in there
nice to
to
know
ask
all
them.
the businesses in town, it would be so nice because
That's
I
what this is
did,
supposed to do.
and that's what it's supposed
But-
to help do.
but you're saying it's not for the ones at home, when those are businesses too.
I said that's not the main focus.
Oh.
So no, if you're still working out of your home and you're doing it full time, then yes, you have to have a business license, but the majority of these are gonna be your storefront, businesses that
Because
are
if
gonna
it's
be
a
registered.
directory for people to know like what businesses we have in Holbrook, that'd be great, because it would be nice to know all the businesses we have here, but then you read further into it, and there's penalties for not having one, but it's a $35, say proposed $35 license, but if you don't register and you don't buy that license, and you are found in
Negligent.
violation of that, now it's a class 3 misdemeanor.
There's an appeal and there'll be a timeline, and we need to probably put that in there. What is that timeline for them to remedy it?
I think I would feel more
Yeah.
confident voting on this after all the little
Yeah.
things come out. We have all the fees and what is in.
Right now, let's say someone has a home business and they get licensed and everything, and then they say, oh, well, you're not in a commercial, building. I mean, we need to know more about the ramifications and, is this gonna give too much red tape? You know what I'm saying? Just have a directory, because we could do a directory anyways, and we can already go in and find out what they're doing, and we already have, you know what I mean?
Also,
Oh. I mean, I could care less.
I would want it, no way to discourage anybody from coming in. You know, if they look at this and go, I gotta do this, well, maybe I won't come here, maybe I'll go to Joseph City where there isn't any. I mean, I just wanna, I guess I'm just
I'm just playing the devil's
not
advocate.
feeling.
No, well, you're a business owner,
secure
so
yet.
it's
You know what I mean?
Well, here, if you don't mind then for a second, if you guys go to the actual code, to page 10, it actually talks about those timelines here. Let me read it. Number 2, it says, well, start with 1. A business license issued under this article may be suspended or revoked at any time during the life such license for falsification of information contained in application, failure to file required transaction privilege tax. And that's the other thing too, these businesses are coming in, as a city, our tax base comes from these businesses, and if they're not registered and we don't know about it, we're not getting any tax base from them. So how much tax revenue are we losing because we don't know? So this is saying, hey, you have to have your TPT number, go from there. And then it says, C, failure to comply with any statute, regulation, or ordinance relating to land use, public peace, health and safety, or taxations. So 2, here we go. The building department shall issue a written notice of intent to suspend or revoke the business license. Unless remedied, the license shall be suspended or revoked 20 days from the date of notice. 3, to contest the suspension or revocation, the licensee must submit a written request for a hearing within 15 days of the notice. The hearing shall proceed in accordance with section B2 of this section. 4, no suspended or revoked business license shall be reinstated until the underlying cause has been fully corrected to the satisfaction of the city. 5, failure to pay the business license renewal fee by the due date shall result in delinquent status. The payment is not received within 30 days following the due date. The license shall be automatically revoked without further notice. So for an example, say a business comes in and wants to start a dispensary, a marijuana dispensary. And so somebody else is like, I'm gonna do it, and they have to come to the city. Well, by law, you can only have so many dispensaries at a certain mileage of each other. But if nobody's actually overseeing that, and that's the problem, people are just popping up shops around Holbrook and we have no idea who's coming, what they're selling, what they're doing.
But it doesn't matter if they're selling it out of their home. If people aren't coming and going out of their home, then they don't have to get a business license?
Well, take my husband's business, he's a general contractor and that's what he does full time, and we have a home address. We would be expected to pay a business license for his contracting company. And so, he would, cause that's his full-time gig. Now, if he was just doing handyman work on the weekends and things like that, then he wouldn't. But if you're gonna be a contractor working out of your home, that's where you're doing your place of business address and things like that, they should.
Well, the thing is, it says you can suspend their license, so what? You're not gonna shut them down.
I'll say, we still have
Yeah,
contractors
you're just suspending their license.
Contractors who have a certain level of license doing work that are above their license and they're.
I guess the real point of this is, Holbrook's been kind of stagnant on a lot of things, you know, we're not aware of everything going on in our town, and it's like, we need to start putting things and policies in place that we can get a little more, understanding of who's coming in, what are they selling, are they paying their taxes? We know we have an issue with people not paying taxes, that's why we're paying that consulting company, right? To make sure our taxes are paid. So, we could be losing thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars every year because these businesses are coming in, we have no idea what they're doing. And they should be paying their taxes, so.
But the only, like I said, the only problem I could see is like, let's say someone had a business at home and, you know, all of a sudden they start getting traffic, and I mean, people are coming in and out, I mean, they would literally have to have a commercial spot, wouldn't they, legally?
Yeah, cause there's
Well-
already, I think, on the code saying you can't have traffic coming in and out, I know.
In order to run a business out of your home, you need to get a conditional use permit anyways if it's not in the zone.
Yeah, that was my only
Sorry.
concern.
So, yeah,
Like,
no,
would hurt
appreciate it.
There's already a different.
So that's the thing, so there's already those requirements in place. This just helps us kinda, and it's gonna take some time, this is not gonna happen overnight, it's gonna take a full year, I'm sure, for them to be able to track down everybody and get it going, so, but we gotta start somewhere.
I think it's a great idea for us to be able to collect some of that tax revenue money, but I just know all of a sudden it's gonna be, it's my hobby, it's not a job, it's not my full-time job, but yet, like, if I do eyelashes at home, people come and go, but I make more doing eyelashes than I do at a regular job. You're gonna expect me to pay taxes on when I just do lashes on the side, like,
And that might be
And
a
how
double
much is it gonna cost us to enforce all this stuff? That's the
Exactly.
thing.
I
But what's it
see-
costing us not to enforce it?
How much of that tax revenue that you get are you gonna have to pay out to enforce it?
Yeah,
You
I
don't
don't know,
know.
we won't know till we try doing it, huh? The first year will be more expensive, cause it will take time to do it. But then after that, hopefully it'll be easier to start managing who's coming in, it'll be easier to say, oh, there's a new business in town, let's go knock on their door.
Like-
But hopefully they're understanding at this point, most people will call the city and say, hey, I'm coming in, do I need a business license? They're like, nope, and they hang up and they're like, great, we'll go do whatever we want, and that's what's
Can we
happening
make
now.
it part of, like when they build, when they get their building permit,
Yeah.
question on their building permit, have you applied for business license?
That's a great question, yes.
And with this, with us just barely starting to implement this, there's no reason why, after a year or two, that Richard and Barbara can get comfortable and be going, we need to change this or this, and then we come back to you guys and continue to grow that program and change an ordinance or something like that.
And I think in the long run, this will actually help businesses. And so if I had a business and I was doing it out of my home, but I was just hearsay, but if I was in their business thing, then I would be getting promoted
Yeah.
for $35 a year. And so then maybe that would increase my business.
That's kind of the way I'm looking
You know,
at
so
it, is
I
even
think
if I don't, even if I'm not required and I'm just doing nails, imagine me doing nails and all. And I don't have to be on that register, but what if I wanna promote that business?
But
Well,
then
I'm
if
gonna
you're
go
not-
re-register.
If you're not certified to do nails, and now you got a business license, how can you have a business license if you're not certified to do it? So now you're opening a whole can of worms.
Then those people aren't the ones signing up then.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
so that's the thing, I mean, it'd be great to know who our businesses are, but I think it's gonna cost more to enforce it. I mean, if you do it, great, honor system, hopefully you do, if you don't, well, I mean,
So there's a place that does my taxes on Erie Street. She also has a photography business. Would she have to buy, not throwing any names out?
Yeah, no.
I don't know if it's her
You would
primary
think-
But
source
that's
of
her
income.
primary job.
both of them would be a job, I mean,
Is
they're
it,
both
is
a
the
source of
photography
income.
business her primary job, so her tax would be free?
I
or-
think they're both her, those are her two jobs that she does.
So would she buy a license for that?
For both of them, you would think, because they're
Potentially.
both a source of income, she's gonna pay taxes on both of those as listing them as a source of income.
So you think she's gonna be happy at that? Because she's gonna
Exactly.
say, absolutely not.
But what, it makes
But I
fair,
think-
we're not here to make people happy as far as, we're trying to be fair for those home businesses that are having a storefront, because storefronts, you're, ask Councilwoman Wood, right? It's expensive to have a brick and mortar store, and so that's only fair.
Yeah, because if you have a business on a road, on a storefront, you're gonna be paying a heck of a lot more than the person who's doing it at their backyard, who's
Exactly.
making just as much as a business and taking business from
And we
other ones.
can include that directory once we compile that data on our website to help those advertising businesses look at what we have in Holbrook that we have
Yeah,
to
we
offer.
would prefer you shop at these ones that are here and not the backdoor ones that.
So I
Well,
would rather
just
go to
think
somebody
it'd be
that's
nice
licensed.
If a new business was coming in and they contacted the city for that, and then we know, so when people call us and say, oh, what's going on at such and such, it's like, I don't know. Just like falling prices, how many calls did you get about what's going in at that store?
It would be nice to know what
But
businesses
it's
are
like,
here.
I don't know, and then somebody on Facebook would call the city, they should know, well, we didn't know.
So what would be the procedure? Let's say that I wanted to rent the storefront where the Tractor Supply was. What would be the procedure there? I go to the realtor, does the realtor say you need to get a city business license as part of opening the business? Or, I mean, when I sign the lease, I mean, how would I find out about this? I mean, because how about if I rented something I didn't even know I wasn't in compliance?
Yeah, so a lot of times what they'll do, cause you're gonna be remodeling that, so that's gonna trigger a building permit.
Mhm.
And once you do that building permit, you gotta have a site plan, you gotta make sure, you're gonna be questioned, Richard and Barbara's gonna question what type of business is in there. So they're gonna verify if the zoning's correct, anything like that, because if the zoning's not correct, then there's gonna be a whole different process where they're gonna have to go get it rezoned or maybe get a conditional use permit through P and Z, something like that. So on a new business, this could be part of that package, if that makes sense. To, hey, now you're building a business, you're gonna remodeling, here's the building permit for that, here's the business license permit for that, and then you're just filling all of that, pack
Okay.
it out all at once.
So it'd be a package from the city.
Yeah.
If I were to, or if I were gonna build something new, it'd be the same thing. I'd get a package from the city. Or if I was gonna lease something that already existed, then it would, then, if I were gonna lease a storefront, that, let's say I was gonna lease this place down here that's been abandoned forever, like the Plainsman. How would that happen? If I went to go lease that, let's say that I could put a restaurant in there right now, how would I even know, how would that come to pass that I would get that?
Well, right now, the first step would be to contact city and Barbara and Richard, cause they're gonna have to remodel that. And then the flip side, if they don't, and then they just start building in there, hopefully Richard and Barbara stop by and say, hey, what are you doing here?
Or let's say I got
and put a
pennies
stop
that
to it
wouldn't need
until they.
remodeling.
I don't think they did that with these two motels that are down here that they completely changed.
Well, we didn't
over.
have a process in place then.
Well, they didn't even draw building permits for that.
Yeah.
So, but for this process, most people should call. If you're starting a business, most people should call the municipality and say, hey, do I need a business license? If they don't, that's where we've just gotta be aware, and that's where Barbara and Richard, when they're out driving around and they're noticing some movement going on, they do stop and ask, inquire. But that's the thing, we just gotta get people trained up to say, yes, we have it, so there's gonna be that learning curve.
And if you're gonna
So-
buy, I think most realtors look into that kind of piece too, on the zoning. So if you're buying the Plainsman and somebody's coming in and they're wanting to buy it for something else, a lot of the realtors will say, well, it's zone C1, this is the value, this is what you can do in some of those places.
Okay. So
And
the-
would they say, and you need to get a business license?
Not
Well, That would
necessarily,
be up to
so,
the realtor.
the business owners
But
themselves.
that's where we
yeah.
have to step up and be
Yeah.
an enforcer and let them know. on
Most
that.
businesses should know that they gotta at least meet with the city to make sure everything's good, to see if they need anything, right? Certificate of occupancies, right, especially if it's been abandoned, let's make sure.
So a business license is pretty much a license to conduct business out of that area.
Correct.
What is the benefit of having a business license?
Well, that was all these things we just talked about right here, was,
Like what, if I'm a business owner, what does that protect me, what, having a business license, what does it do for me?
well, it tracks active businesses. It helps the city more than the business, like I said,
Yeah.
it'll have a directory,
It's
but
gonna help
we can
us.
track active businesses, improve communications, supports economic development efforts, ensures compliance with zoning and safety regulations. It promotes public health and safety by ensuring businesses operate in compliance. Like, you don't want a restaurant starting up and it's like, hey, did you reach out to the health department to make sure everything is there? And so part of that business license, like, hey, we wanna see your health certificate, right, your approval from the health department.
Well, I mean, the
Yeah.
county's gonna do that anyway.
Yeah, and how do they know, right? And so that's the same argument we can have, like, well, how does the county know which restaurants are popping up and just operating? Like, well, sometimes they don't know until somebody inquires or somebody reaches out. Like, the teen center we're putting together right now, we plan on putting a commercial kitchen in. So what I've already done, I've reached out to the county, said, what are the requirements and regulations? Cause I don't wanna get halfway through the build and realize I'm missing some components. So, as a business owner, that's part of the process, is you gotta do your homework and find out what all the requirements are to do it. And so that's what I'm doing, and then they'll come out and inspect it once we're done. But they've already sent me the 80-page document to say, these are all the requirements for a commercial kitchen. And so,
And basically, it's without a license, it's a marriage between just the business and the state. When you get a license, it's a marriage between your local city and, the state and the business.
yeah.
So in
Like-
other words, it gives the local government, opportunity to, like I said, if I know people are paying taxes and everything else, it puts us in the loop with the state.
And a lot of times for us, when we're verifying who's paying taxes or whatnot, just because it says Tractor Supply up there does not mean that they pay their taxes. Tractor Supply, here's the tax amount. It could be under all kinds of different names.
LLC.
So, yeah, LLCs and all those things. So this business license will help us know, and maybe we could go track that and verify that they're paying taxes.
Because when you purchase a property and things like that through the county, all you're getting is an address. You don't have a phone number or an email. So it's really hard to track these guys down. And so you're mailing it to hopefully somebody's getting it, and they can always claim they didn't get the mail, right? And so having an actual phone number and email will increase our communication speed for one. And so, anyways, good questions though, good discussion.
And not all not all cities have business licenses either. City of Phoenix don't have a business license.
But they
I
do
learned
have-
that from the league, but all the others around them do. So it's just how you manage that. However, there's probably deeper things for the city of Phoenix. They got a lot more code enforcement people, and at one time they ran their own revenue service before it became the state. So they probably worked that out a different way and didn't call it a business license. But there are some things that get brought up every year in the state legislature on property or on people paying taxes and those kind of things. And this would kind of help us get us started anyways.
I just feel ever since COVID came and everybody starts working from home, and everybody has a business out of their home, I mean, it'd be great for us to be able to get that tax revenue, but I just have a hard time believing we're going to even get it.
We won't get 100%, I'm
No.
not planning
How
on it.
many people make t-shirts out of their home,
Yeah.
or make for 300 shirts for whatever, or those who make tumblers, like, I don't know.
Like I said, I think a lot of those will be hobby, and
So then we're still going after the big, actual businesses on the storefront.
That's
That's what it's
our-
gonna feel like.
that's our
to
biggest
them.
concern. Well, for now, we've gotta make sure they're zoned correctly. Like I said, we don't want businesses coming in that aren't,
But we would know that without a business license, if whether they're zoned correctly or not.
not necessarily. There was a marijuana grower at one time right next in the old Alco, right? And you can only have so much for personal use, and they're saying, oh, it's personal use, but it'd be nice to be able
Was
to
it
actually say,
Before or after we got our actual code enforcers that,
that was,
like Barbara and,
that was before.
but like since then, that's what we have code enforcement for, is to regulate the businesses.
But they have no way of getting these contact information too, and we could turn this into a business directory, you know what I mean?
But
But-
that sounds like the chamber already though.
So they don't do
In
a
a sense.
business, right? They don't, that's only for memberships. There's a lot of businesses that aren't members with the Chamber of Commerce, so they don't have
The
all their contact
majority.
information.
Aren't members of the chamber.
Yeah, and so, but I think this is a good start to say, hey, you know, as a city, this is just a good procedural, policy to make sure we're aware of what's going on in our city, make sure they're zoned right, the safety's right. There's a lot of people that'll come in and like, oh, my buddy's just gonna do the electricity, right? And that's where the code enforcement comes in, but it'd be nice just to be aware of it from the start. And so we're tackling code enforcement more, so this would be just a good hand-in-hand, policy to go with that, in my opinion.
So if I sold insurance from my house, I wouldn't have to,
Correct.
but
Unless that was your job.
Well,
Shumway
yeah.
Insurance would,
Correct. Cause that was under
cause they're on the
an
main
exemption.
street.
How
See,
hard
that's
is
where
it?
I'm not seeing where it's fair. You don't have to, but yet you're selling insurance out of your home,
We can
but you're
change
still
that.
making the same
Yeah.
profit, but yet I have a business on the storefront selling the insurance. I have to pay for a business license, even if it's only $35, but if I don't, now I'm gonna class 3 misdemeanor, but yet Mr. Nielsen sells insurance out of his home and he doesn't have to get a business license.
I agree, that's number 3, we can scratch it.
I mean, and like, same thing with, oh, I just had it around the top of my head before you said that.
Well, we won't say names anyways, right?
Oh, no, it wasn't even thinking of names, I
Oh,
was just
okay.
thinking like, instances like this.
And how hard is it to get a special use permit for a home? I mean, does it have to go before the
PNC and then us. So, and it would be tricky, cause then you're, gotta notify your neighbors, because I've seen it shut down before, years ago, down the street, somebody wanted to turn that into a place that sold, like a thrift store, and the churches and the neighbors came out and said, there's no parking, right? You can't put a
Oh,
business here, and,
The old Bowman Church.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, they wanted.
So, okay, I remember, if I didn't work, or maybe say I did work, and I own 5 houses and I rent all those houses out, that's my business, I am a landlord, I rent these houses and that's my profit. Is that considered a business?
It is, because you have to pay state tax on those and you get a business license from the state.
I mean, I'm already paying property tax, so now I have to pay
Yep,
city tax
Yeah.
too?
yep.
And how are we gonna know?
there's
all
no
that?
rental tax anymore, the state of Arizona eliminated that a year ago.
And
But
that
I'm
was a
like
good
saying
thing.
like, if that's my business and I have rentals,
But like I said,
do I have to get a business license for that?
I'm saying when that was in effect, you had to get a business license from the state. You had actually, I had them, and you had to post them.
So, but now that wouldn't fall under this because
It's,
that's not a business anymore,
right.
even though that is my
no,
business.
it's still a business, they just,
I just
the
don't
state
have to-
just said, you can't charge your rental tax anymore.
But I don't have to get a business license then?
Not through the state, but this would probably require it if it's your full-time, we don't have an exemption for that.
Well, it's not my
Property, well, right here,
full-time.
number 8, property rental activities, persons engaged in leasing or renting residential properties, including vacation and short-term rentals, so that's an exemption, so no, they wouldn't have to.
See, and I just don't think that would be, but yet the hotel has to pay a business license and they have someone coming in day out or monthly. We have people who rent monthly every 6 months.
I agree.
They have to get a business license, but
Would a bed and breakfast or a,
No, it says
They
not
don't?
short-term rental.
Well,
Well, how
we-
about this?
We lost revenue on lodger's tax from those 2 motels remodeling themselves. And they didn't come get business license, they didn't come get permits, they didn't do anything, they just did it.
That's why
So
it's
there you
gonna
go.
change them. So how about we do this? This looks like it might need a work session. How do you guys feel about that? Do we need to do a work session and,
Well, I
Or do
think
you
it-
wanna just-
apparently it needs to be discussed more.
yeah,
I'm not feeling comfortable yet.
No.
and I don't wanna even put it to a vote if nobody's feeling comfortable yet,
No.
so.
it's a great idea. There's too
There's-
many
what
gray
if-
areas.
No, I'm
I think
good with
that we
that.
should ask at least 20 people.
So,
In
what,
the
yeah, what
town
if we
and see what
reached
they
out
think.
to some home business
It's gonna affect
people?
them.
So the
No,
dance
but they-
studio
but they
across
have
the
all
street
businesses,
makes
they don't
tens of
have to
thousands of dollars a year,
They-
right?
You know who
That's
has
ran by
that?
the
Yeah, we
city.
could, but they're not gonna.
Do they?
That's
No.
a
I
rental,
know if I
so
went and
that's
talked
a,
to some of them,
I mean, that's,
and I
they
asked
rent
them,
that from the
They
city.
do not, they're gonna have to pay taxes.
but
They-
I don't believe that's their full-time job, so, that's their full income.
Well,
and
I've
they
paid
closed down the thing.
like $65 a month for several little
Didn't make
girls
it reported.
to be in that dance studio. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that business
That's where it's-
get an
we're gonna-
exemption?
It's
Probably.
gonna bite us
Well,
in the-
Because
Okay,
they're leasing from the
So,
city?
alright, so if I can get everybody's attention again here, so let's do this, we'll go ahead and table this item, if that's okay with everybody, and let's put it on as a work session, so we can start, yeah, we'll make a motion to table. But I do feel like I said, there's too many, unknowns still out here, so we could do that, so let's do this, I'll open the floor if anybody wants to make a motion to table, or whatever motion they want.
I'll make a motion to table the second reading of ordinance 2506.
I second that.
Any discussion?
I think we need to go speak with business owners, storefronts and not storefronts.
Was that motion to table this and set it for a work session, was that what you said?
I didn't say set up, but we
She
can
just said to
put it on
table
there.
it.
Just
Table
table
and
it.
maybe,
Possible
What is
work
Winslow?
session.
Has anybody talked to how they do their?
I know Barbara, so we can do it and ask Barbara to be here, she's the one
Yeah,
that
she
did the
came to the
majority.
last one, but and
Mhm.
answered questions on all this,
Yeah, but
but
then we have more
since she had
questions.
answered those questions, and she's on vacation this week, she didn't come back
So,
this week.
so let's do that, so we have a motion and a second, just to table it for now, and then we could just put it on the agenda as well. Any further discussion, comments? Okay, all in favor to
And-
take,
and-
oh, go ahead.
Also, I'd like to see the price be part of it.
Okay.
When we come back, just say.
Well, we do have to do those separate.
Right, but I mean, it'll be a lot easier
We won't vote on that, we can have just
to
a
say
kind of a
it's
consensus.
$35 or whatever it is.
I mean, and I think we should probably clarify what statute that they're gonna be charged with as a class 3 misdemeanor on here, if
I thought it
they're in
was.
violation. I
If
didn't
there
see
was,
it in
maybe
the
not.
violation.
You could actually make it, if you had a storefront, it's $35. If you were doing anything out of your house, it's $15.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could do something
We
like that.
could do something like that.
It's a good idea.
But
then what's
this
the penalty?
discussion
Okay.
is over,
No,
so.
well, we're opening up, well, we're trying to make it over. Yeah, all right, any further comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, we will get this on a work session. All right. Item number B, ordinance 25-07, this is the first reading of levying a primary property tax upon the assessed valuation, property located within the city, subject to taxation. On July 9th, the council had a public hearing on the primary property tax levy and the final budget. Furthermore, on July 9th, council adopted the final budget, which included the primary property tax rate of 0.4598. Financial implications, the rate of 0.4598 will be sufficient to raise $117,308. Randy, or Mr. Sullivan, do you wanna just give a quick little explanation on this one?
Yeah, so this is the discussion we've had. This works backwards on when we set the property tax levy. So this budget of $117,308 is what we are allowed to collect on our primary property tax. In order for us to collect that, the rate will be 0.4598.
Which
So
went down
45, which went down slightly. So basically, how you calculate that is basically $45.98 per $100,000 of your valued house.
Thank you. All right, I'll go ahead and read it. The heading. Ordinance number 25-07, an ordinance of the city of Holbrook, Arizona, levying a primary property tax upon the assessed valuation of the property located within the city subject to taxation for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026. And so, whereas in 2019, residents of the city of Holbrook passed a primary property tax, and whereas the city council has the authority to levy and collect taxes for the general expenses of the city and all lawful municipal purposes per Holbrook City Charter, section 6.02A. And whereas a public hearing was held on July 9th, 2025 to discuss the budget, whereas pursuant to state law and ordinance, levying taxes is required to be adopted no later than the third Monday in August. Whereas Navajo County is the assessing and collecting authority for the city of Holbrook. So we just talked about what that would be. So, this is just a first reading tonight, but if anybody has any questions, we'll do the second reading and the vote at next week's council meeting. Our special meeting. Does anybody have any questions or concerns?
I have concerns. I'm getting tired of seeing our citizens and property taxes. I mean, what happens if you don't pass this? You lose $117,000? It's money we didn't have before, right?
No, we haven't.
Well, it's a continuation of what we have.
That's the problem. It never goes away.
Well, in
Once you start
2019
passing this stuff, it just keeps going and going and going. And
There for a while, the council, we did not have a property tax, we did away with it. However, not everybody else is gonna do that, so you're still gonna end up paying taxes for the school district, taxes for the county, taxes, so there's still property taxes there. Just because we say we're not gonna collect our portion of it, you're still gonna have property taxes, it's gonna be
Well,
other
it'll be
entities.
$117,000 less.
And then, so
Can
in
we do it
2019, we went backwards and started asking to collect it again. And so that's where we're at.
Sadly, we need the taxes.
Hmm?
Sadly, Holbrook needs the taxes. That's revenue, that's,
I'm here, we have all kinds of money, so do we need that?
I didn't think we had all kinds of money, but we need the money, but
Oh,
what
no.
we can get.
Well, if we can start getting more taxes off those that aren't paying, then we can address this
Oh,
problem.
yeah,
So,
that's a bunch of the different-
I'm open to the discussion on eliminating property taxes. But for now, this is what's being proposed, that's the
They
ordinance.
were like, why aren't we doing this? What's wrong with that? And why can't we do this? Well,
We don't
we
have
got
money.
rid of the property tax, so that little bitty amount would have helped do this.
See, with
So.
property tax, though, it was one of those things that was supposed to be temporary.
They're
It
never, once
goes
they
away.
go, they're
Like,
never
they're
temporary.
never are.
Alright, so any questions about ordinance 25-07? Okay, so we will move on, to 8, executive session. So the mayor and the city council may convene into executive session pursuant to ARS 38-431.03A3 and A4 to discuss and consult with the city attorney regarding the city manager contract. So I'll open the floor for a motion to go into executive session.
I make a motion to go into executive session.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we are now in executive session. Mr. Sullivan, if you can lock the door on your way, turn off the Facebook,
And I'm
and you'll
pulling
get
that
our
down.
attorney on here, so. And then, Mr. Sullivan, if you'll just hang out in your office for a bit, we'd appreciate it.
Do you have a copy, a hard copy of it?
She's got one,
Okay.
Lisa's got one for everybody, so.
All right.
Do you want it to keep on recording this, Lisa?
If you, yeah, not Facebook, but keep recording.